All right, so today we're gonna learn about loops, arrays, and objects. And I'm so happy that you guys already started JavaScript. Right? It's much more, to me, it's much more fun than dealing with HTML, CSS. Anyway, so courses, just go down to loops and arrays and objects, and introduction to JavaScript. And later on, if you guys have some time, try to watch these videos by Marat, okay, to get additional insights about these topics. Okay, loops. In programming, loops are used to repeat a block of code. Okay, so um, so we use loops to repeat an action a number of times. Right, so let's say if I would like to console log, okay, hello world, like multiple times, okay, I can do this one. This is brute force, and let's say there's only 6 lines right here, right? What if you have like thousands of lines? Do you have to write it down like this? It looks ugly, right? So to make our lives much easier, we use loops in every single programming language out there, right? Um, Loops offer a quick and easy way to do something repeatedly. Example, if you want to show a message 100 times, then you can use a loop. This is the condition for loop. Okay, there's a lot of different types of loops in JavaScript. The first one is a for loop, and we can work on while loop, and we can work on a do while loop, and we also have a for each. Right, we're not going to be mentioning this for each because this is the part of JavaScript higher order functions. It's called HOF, higher order functions. Okay, and it takes a class to go over this topic, right? So we're not going to be mentioning about this for now, but it's just another loop that comes with arrays. Okay, we also have for in, and we also have for off. All right, so let's go back here. For loop. This is how we define for loop. So we have for, and we open up a parenthesis, and we open up a curly braces, a block. This is called code block. Code block. All right. So within the parentheses right here, we have statement 1. Okay, and then statement 2 and statement 3. Okay, so the statement 1 is initialization, initial expression. And the statement 2 is a condition that we compare this initial expression. And then statement 3 is a final expression. This is actually an increment expression. And then we just put the code block. So an example, usually for statement 1. So this is how it looks for loop. Okay, and an example, we usually do this one. For let I is for index, all right, is equal to 0. And then we put the semicolon, right? And as an example, let's say I less than 5 and put the semicolon. and we put the I plus plus, and we close out the curly braces. What we are trying to do here is that console.log hello world. So initial expression, this is the statement 1. We're putting, okay, initial value for index is 0. We want index start from 0. All right. And then we want the number start from 0. If it was an array, we could call it index, but for now we can just call it number, right? Just I is, let's just call it index. And we are starting this number from 0. And this number can be started from anything. If you can start with 1, 2, 3, whichever one. But for now, we'll just start from 0. That's the initial statement. And we're checking. First, we put I 0, and then we check the condition first. Is I less than 5? Right? If I less than 5, if it's true, this statement true, the condition is true, then we console log it right here. Right? We console log it, and then we increment this index. As you guys know, this I plus plus stands for I is equal to I plus 1. Okay. The same thing goes for other mathematical expressions. For instance, if you do I minus minus, it's going to be decrementing. Okay, this one is I plus 1 is incrementing, and I minus 1 is decrementing. Another way to show this is I plus equal to 1. These, all three of them are exact same thing. You can either do I plus plus, or you can do I is equal to I plus 1, or you can do I plus equal to 1. They all three of them represent exactly the same thing. Okay, so let's see how a for loop works in as a flow diagram. Let me open up a sketchpad. This is the last thing we created. Okay, so no, let me get the pencil first. Not the pen, I want the pencil. I start with I 0 and come down here, and this is my if block. I less than 5. This side is false, and this side is true. Okay, if it's true, then right here I have code block. Whatever inside the for loop. Okay, whatever inside the for loop, this is the code block. Okay, and then if right after the code block, we go back, and right over here, we do what? We do increase the index's value, and then the process repeats again. All right, initially we start from 0, and we check the condition. Is I less than 5? And this one is end the for loop. Right? If I is I less than 5, which is 0, right? That's true. Then run the code block, which is console logs hello world, and then go back and increases. Now I was 0 initially. Now it became 1, and it checks again. I is now 1. Is 1 less than 5? True. Run the code block again, and go back, increase. It will go up until I becomes 5, right? Let's say I was 4 and code block run, and let's say right here, 4 plus 1, I became 5. Is 5 is less than 5? False. Then we will exit out of for loop. Then we exit out of for loop. And if you run this one, we get the same thing. Okay, now right next to hello world, we can just try to see what's our index. Okay, so initially it was 0. Since we started from 0, is 0 less than 5? Yes, print it out, increase. As soon as we increase it, we compare it again. 2 less than 5? Yes, then print it out. As you guys can see, yes, go ahead.
Azamat, can we increase more than just one? Like after every action by 3 plus 3 plus 3, like, or it's only for one?
You mean right here?
I mean, yeah, increasing, yeah.
Of course, you can definitely do that. Yep.
Oh.
If what we can do here, we can do plus equal to 2, for instance. All right. In this case, initially we print out what? 1 time with the index 0, right? And now the index becomes 2.
Yeah.
Index becomes 2. Now we compare the 2. Is 2 less than 5? Yes. Print it out again. Now 2 plus 2, index becomes 4. So in this case, our statement will print out only 3 times. Let me clear this console and run it again. Okay, 0, 2, 4. You can definitely increase this number.
But we also can see the index 0. The first index was without this action, right?
Yes, index 0, we print it out, right? Let I0, we compare it. If it's true, then we print it out.
Okay, yes, clear. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we compare it right here. We compare it. If it's true, we run the code block and we go back, increase it, and we compare it again.
Yeah, got it.
All right. So another representation for this one is another representation for this one is you don't have to have let inside. We can take it out like this, right? Let I0, right? And then I5. And instead of right here, we can increase the number right over here. Right? Initial value is I0. And of course, we definitely have to put the semicolons. If you don't put, the JavaScript will complain about it. Okay, so that I0, and we'll compare. Is I less than 5? Yes, print it out. All right, print it out and then increase right away. Once we increase it, it will go back and check the condition again. This is exactly the same as using this way. All right. Any questions?
Yeah, maybe you'll just tell about later how to use in function, inside the function. Just anywhere in the
Inside a function, yes. You can just wrap this one inside, put this one inside a function.
Okay.
Okay, so later on we'll see how we. So what do we do with the functions, right? The functions like this. This is a function, and we get the data inside, and we return something. Okay, and right here you can just put your for loop inside. Let's say you're getting an array inside, and you manipulate this array inside this function, and that's how you run for loop inside right here. Okay, so one other thing to consider with for loops is break and continue. We can use break and continue with for loops. Break and continue. Okay, so what we can do here, let's say right here, right? We can put if statement right here inside and say if I is equal to 2, as you guys already know the comparison. Okay, if I is equal to 2, we can just say break. Okay, if I is equal to 2, break. Otherwise, continue printing. Not continue, sorry. Console.log. Hello world I. Maybe it's a good idea to put it right over here. What it does is that it compares the index. As long as it finds index 2, it will finish this for loop. It will stop the for loop. It will not continue. It will not increment additionally. All right, so as you guys can see right here, let me rerun again. For let I 0, right? It runs console log and it increments, and now I becomes 1. It goes back, is I 1, of course, console log, now I becomes 2. And now it checks if 2 is equal to 2, it will break, it will cut out of for loop. It will not continue incrementing and then continue on this code block.
So break is part of the if, or we can use it separate without if.
We need to have a condition for to be able to run the break.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can use the condition with different ways, but I mean, it comes with if always, right? The break is part of
Yes.
this. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It comes with the if else statement.
Okay. Thanks.
And also most of the time, if you have only one code block inside the if, you don't have additional code block down right here, right? So if you have only one code block down here, you can just avoid these curly braces and just put break here. Okay, just next to if. Okay, so how about continue? So for the continue, we can do the same thing. But in this case, if I is equal to 2, if I write continue right here, right? If I write continue right here, in this case, let me put this console log right over here. Okay, if I write continue here, basically I'm comparing this I to, when it comes to index 2, it will skip this index. It will skip and it will not print out the index 2, and it will continue with the next increment.
No. Just the right answer, Azamat? Or not?
No, no, it's not the right answer.
Yeah, I thought this would start from that from two. Yeah.
So we console log it first, and we say if I is equal to 2, so
We need to break.
Let me just stop it. So let's take a look. We're console logging I, all right? And then we increment it. And we're checking. If I,
After continue, if we give some order, let's say after continue on line after 29, if we do like console log inside the if, it will not print, right? It will just jump out of block, yeah, when it's continue now.
so what we were expecting here is that as soon as we hit index 2 and we jump next to, let's just bring these guys over here. Okay, so what we are trying to say is, okay, console log I, and if I is equal to 2, as soon as we hit the 2, we can continue. We need to skip the index 2.
So it's not skipping index 2, right? Because we are on line 24, we already printing 2. Then on it comes to the if statement and it skips, but it doesn't know what to skip, right?
Yeah, so we're printing it out, right? We're printing it out and then we're comparing it. Instead of that, what we're supposed to do is that we first of all, let I is 0, and then since this condition doesn't meet, and we continue printing it out. If I is 1, doesn't meet, and we print it out. And then when we put I2, 2 is equal to 2, and then we say continue. Basically, don't run this below. Just continue the next one. We're skipping this printing out number 2. Right? We're skipping whatever the code block comes after if statement, we're skipping it right here. And then we're jumping next to it. Like 2 plus 2 is 3. And then since 3 doesn't meet this condition, and we'll continue printing it out. That was the logic. So 0, 1, 2 is skipped, and 3. Okay, same thing with the break. If it's 0, doesn't meet, print it out. If it's 2, then as soon as it's 2, it will break, and then it's not going to print out. It will exit it out from the loop. Okay, so this is for special purposes that we use break and continue. And it is also used in while, do while, and we can also use in a switch. but we're not going to be take a look into switch. All right, so the for loop and erase are best friends forever. We're going to take a look into that a little bit later. There are different types of loops, but most used one is for loop. For loop and while loop are the most used ones. The for statement creates a loop that consists of three optional expressions enclosed in parentheses and separated by semicolons, followed by a statement to be executed in the loop, as we did already. We'll count 1 to 10. Loops and logic. You can add other statements or logical operators inside the loops. Now, I think you guys did FizzBuzz yesterday.
Yes.
Right, so let me just copy and paste over here. And we can create a function, right? FizzBuzz. And then put it right here. So as soon as we run FizzBuzz, right? This is how we execute the function with the parentheses. Let me remove this console logs and clear history and run it again. So since we are using for loop inside the function, and just like it says, we can add other statements or logical operators inside the loop. Break. To exit the loop, use the break statement. Yeah, I think this is a much better example for break. As soon as it finds the 7, it will break it out of the loop and continue whatever comes next after the loop. Okay, how can we develop this one? Write a loop that gives you the 9's times table. So basically, it will print out in the console 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, etc. Right? So let me comment this one out. We can do the for loop over here and let I, right? We can start with 1 because we would like to print out what? 9 first, right? 9. So we can start with 1. This is our index. Okay, and it says 12 until 12. Of course, a 12 is included. Right, so it will I less than equal to 12 because we would like to include what? 12 too, and I plus plus. If you don't include 12, then it's going to be end in 11. But since we would like to see 9 multiplied by 12, that's why we need to make sure that I reaches to 12 too, and that's why we need to put less than equal to 12. And here we can just do console.log and 9 multiplied by 9 multiplied by I.
Azamat, sorry. How to, okay. This console log is just for developers to see the result. How to use this, how to multiply by 9, like how to make it the real function, the real action.
Oh, the real action would be when it comes to the arrays. We'll try to see that because let's say as an example, constant array. Okay, constant array, and we have an array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, for instance, right? And then as a new array, constant new array. We want to see these numbers multiplied by 9, for instance. Okay, these numbers multiplied by 9. Exactly same as what we did over here. So 9, 18. Is it going to find it? Yep, there we go. Something like this. So we can use it for loop for this one. All right, inside our for loop, we need to make sure that we put array right here. And then for each item inside array, we multiply by 9 and put it inside new array. All right, but don't rush. Let's just understand how the for loop works. Later on, when we go to arrays and objects, we'll make sure that how those get along with each other, right? Loops definitely works perfect with arrays. Yeah, so just like you said, we're just console logging. Yep, it's not gonna be seen in what? In the UI, but console log is our friend, right? Do not be shy to use console log everywhere you see in your code. That's how we fix our bugs. Okay, that's for the for loop. Yeah, what about the while loop? So similar to for loop, while loop is also very useful, and it is actually the fastest of all other loops compared to other loops. For if, for off, for loop, etc. This is the fastest in JavaScript. So the while statement creates a loop, okay, around the code block that is executed while a condition is true. And the usage is, again, we need to have initial value, 0. And we'll just write while, just like we write for loop. All right, so right over here, we say while I less than 5, the same thing we did with the for loop. While I is less than 5, console.log I, and I++. Exact same thing, guys. Initially we gave I 0. Is it I less than 5? True. Run the code block. Okay, run the code block and I++. The only difference is that we're not combining all these statement 1, statement 2, statement 3 inside while loop, right? Inside while parentheses. For the for loop, we can define all 3 statements inside in a single parenthesis, but with the while loop, we cannot do that. We only have condition over here, initial statement, and then increment. While I is less than 5, console.log I. Okay, same thing. We can also use breakpoints. All right. If I is equal to 3, then break. Break out of a while loop. Stop the while loop. Okay. This code block runs while the condition is true. If I is equal to 3, then break out of the while loop. Otherwise, just continue printing it out. As you guys can see, as soon as we hit index 3, our while loop stopped. Same thing goes with continue. Okay. In this case, we're skipping what? As soon as we hit index 3, we will not run this, whatever comes after continue, we will not run this code statements, and we'll just jump into incrementing it. The problem with this one is that we should bring this increment right before if statement.
Can you please explain how does it work? I really can't understand how to the place the different functions inside the one code block. How they work with each other.
What do you mean? Like,
You just placed it, yeah. First time you placed A++ after if it didn't work. Now you place it first. And what was different? How it works in the
so
in the back?
you mean like this, right?
Ну как они, я не понимаю, если его в начале или в конце убрать, как это влияет, как они связаны, как они берут у друг друга информацию, чтобы обрабатывать внутренние схемы, я не понимаю, как они взаимодействуют, когда внутри разные там if или другие там используются.
So let's continue with the logic here. Initially, I is 0, and we're checking the condition. Is it true? It is true. And we're checking the condition again. Are we going inside if when I is 0? No, we're not. So we constant log I. Okay, we constant log I, we print out 0. And then we increased I. Now I became 1. We check the condition again. Is 1 less than 5? Yes. Check the condition again, if else statement. Is 1 is equal to 3? No. So we're not running this continue. We'll continue printing out 1, and we'll increase it again. Now 2. 2 is not equal to 3. So we're not running if statement inside. And we'll continue printing out 2. Okay, so next one. Yeah, so I becomes 3. We increased it, right? And then we're checking this condition is correct, true. And we'll check if I is equal to 3. Yes. Then we say continue. When we do continue, it's not going to run this one.
Yeah, can you run right now, please?
Yeah, when we run this one right here, it is basically ignoring this one, right?
You're gonna skip the 3, right?
It will skip incrementing the I2.
Yeah. And let's see. But he stopped. In general, I understand the logic though. I mean, this line in line 73 is I plus plus. Gosh, can I ask in Russian? It's really
Yeah, go ahead.
Да, на этой линии I plus plus. Вы сказали, когда мы использовали брейк, допустим, он стоял внизу брейка, и он работал идеально. Когда мы начали использовать continue, он уже работал неправильно, и нам пришлось его переставить выше него. И Я вот не понимаю вот в
The
этот момент.
reason, the
Почему для
reason,
нас, да.
yeah, the reason when we use break, I forget about continue. Okay, when we use break, like it's still continuous, right? So print out 0, yes, console log 0, 1, yes, 2, yes, 3. When it comes to 3, we'll just break out of the while loop completely. We're just completely ignoring it. Okay, we're just completely ignoring to run the remaining of incrementation, etc. We'll just print out 0, 1, 2.
Oh, yeah, I got it. Mhm.
Break is fine. How about the continue? So in here, now when we hit I3, it will, if your incrementation is below if statement,
Mhm.
basically we are ignoring this part right here. Okay, for
Ah.
I3. Because
Mhm.
if you, so when we said skipping, right? If I is 3 and we say continue, basically we're skipping this part. But we should not skip this part, right? We should increment this part. Somehow we should have increment before we continue. And that's why we brought out right over here. So if I do this one, then it will be as if I put break over here, right? 0, 1, 2. But if I bring I plus plus over here, and now when I hit a 3 right here, and I have continue, I ignore printing out, and I will just move to the next one.
Okay,
And
it's becoming more clear. Yeah. Of course, I will Google it later, but yeah, for now it's more clear. Thank you.
Quick question about continue. What if we will use instead of the equal to 3, maybe it should be condition like bigger than 2, bigger than 3. I mean, maybe we can add it like some extra function. For example, it will do something, and while it's just example less than, for example, 50, and when I is bigger than 50, then do something like that maybe.
so
I mean, because if we are on this case, I mean, if we are putting like if I is equal 3, do something else, that means it's gonna do only one time, right? When I is equal 3, and I might be equal 3 only one time when it's 3, and when it's
exactly.
4, yeah, when it's 4, it will not equal, right?
All right. So how about I is less than 50 over here, right? How about we print out console log the numbers between 1 through 10. Okay. 1 through 10. And we skip numbers over here and we print out numbers from 40 to 50. Okay. So we can just say over here, if I if I less than 10, or maybe less than and equal to 10. Okay. And I, it just brought it to me. So I bigger than equal to 40. Oh, sorry, it's if I is bigger than equal to, because we're trying to what?
Yes.
We're trying to skip those lines, right? So, and then, and I is less than equal to 40, or just the less than. All right. So we print out from 1 to 9. If you would like to, of course, include 10, we can definitely do it. But we just skip the numbers between 10 to 39. You can definitely apply it. When we said I is equal to 3, we were just looking for one condition, one number. If that index is 3, then skip that index and continue to the next one. That's what we were saying. but we can also put additional conditions to limit the number of printouts, to skip the numbers from the list of numbers. All right, so as long as this one is true. So why do you guys, so then in this case, what's the difference between for loop and while loop? We use the for loop if we know the limit. If we know this the limit for our loop. Okay, in this case, we put just the manual number 12. But if you have an array, we will be running the length of array. Array.length will give us how many numbers do we have? 7 numbers. Okay, this is how we do. But the while loop, it's not certain. Now in this case, we have we put a hard-coded number over here. We put hard-coded number over here. What if we have a situation like let's say we're expecting some number from user. Okay, we'll say, okay, let number, and then we use the prompt to have user to enter a number. Enter a number. Enter a number. Okay, I'm not sure if we can use this prompt in Replit, but we'll try. As you guys can see, while number is above 7, for instance, this is how we do it. Console.log. You enter it. You enter a number less than 7. Okay, so we actually don't know what number the user will enter, right? Let's say if user enters anything above 7, we will keep prompting user to enter another number. Right? Let's say that user entered 1,000 times above number 7, and then right after that, user entered number 4 less than 7, number 3, 4, 5, 6. Until the user enters a number below 7, we cannot go over here. This while loop will continue running until user enters less than 7. That's why we don't know when we get the exact truthful condition over here. But for the for loop, we have a limited number that we can run the loop, whether it's the length of array or whether it's hard-coded number.
In the last example, the while works like the usual if, right? Just one condition and what to do if it's true.
But like right here, we're prompting a user to enter a number. And okay, let's say user entered 10. All right, enter 10. Then we will prompt the user enter to another number. Okay, so they entered 10. Is it true? Yes. Prompt it again. Next time they entered 11. Then we'll compare the condition again. 11. Is 11 bigger than 7? Yes. Then prompt it again. Next time they entered 50. Is 50 bigger than 7? Yes. Prompt it again. Ask again. Until they enter a number below 7, this loop will continue. Let me see if it will work here. Now, prompt is not supported over here. Let me get this piece of code right over here. And
Probably it's like some keyword or what?
we will run. So this right over here. So this prompt is built-in function that belongs to window, right? Window is the global object. It's too early for you guys to learn, but we do have what? Window. And it's just like the console log, right? Or alert, or confirm. These are you sure? These are built-in methods, built-in functions that belongs to window. And you don't have to create this function. It will just work fine. It will just work fine. Okay, let me just remove this guy over here and let me save it. As you guys can see, hello, alert. It's coming from alert. And as soon as I click OK, it will say it can confirm now. Are you sure? Yes or cancel. And we should have console log, of course. All right, you entered number 7 less than 7. And if I refresh, now alert, okay, now confirm. These are built-in functions. We don't have to create these functions. They're built-in JavaScript. Just like that, we have prompt. It's built-in and it accepts number from user. Let me bring it back. Let me comment this one out. And if I save it, see, enter a number. And if I enter 10, okay, now it's asking me again, enter a number. 20, enter a number. 100, enter a number. Now, as soon as I enter less than 7, since this becomes false, and we exit it out, and it says console.log, you entered less than 7. Now let me enter 4. As you guys can see, you entered a number less than 7.
If you will write the instead of while if, it will work by a different way.
Instead of while,
Yeah, if like they take just one condition. I mean, this looks like the usual if, because before we had 3 parameters in the while, here we use only one. And so if you put if instead of while, what will happen? Will it work?
Instead of while, what do you want to put? For loop?
If, just if.
Oh, okay. But it's gonna run only one time though.
One time.
Yeah. So it's not gonna do a while. Okay. So if
Oh,
I
yeah,
put,
okay. Yeah. Now, yeah. It was so simple, but yeah. Now I got it.
okay, if number is bigger than 7, number prompt, enter a number.
Yeah,
But
he's not gonna ask again. Yeah, if you
it will not go back to this condition. It will ask it again. Okay, it will ask it again, but it will continue next time. Okay, even if it whether you enter it a bigger number or less number. So if I put the 20 right here, all right. So the first one was over here, the prompt, and we check this one, right? 20 is bigger than 7. Yes, and it's asking again. Now, if I put a 30 now, it will still print out. It's not going back and checking condition and running asking another number again. Right? Initially, it's asking the first time, right? This is the first time. Okay, if I enter 4, and it will check 4. 4 is bigger than 7. No, then it will just console log. So let me enter 20. That's the first one, and I'm checking 20 is bigger than 7. Yes. Then prompt it again, another number. Now, in this case, let's just put 45, and now it will just move to the next code statement that comes after if. But if as soon as you put the while, it will continue going back, running this loop over here, right? While this condition doesn't meets, while this condition meets, it will continue asking for a different number. So it's not working in Replit because we don't have window down here. Okay, we're just running it in Replit's server. All right, it's a 6:10. Let's take a 10 minutes break and we'll continue with these remaining loops in JavaScript. Okay, let's continue. I apologize, I didn't see the question in the chat group. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for answering the question. Just like you said, we're going to be using these for loops from now on in every single project that you guys will be working on. For loops are our friends. So what about the do while? Do while, just like is similar to regular while, okay, while loop. What we can do with do while is that we can execute the code block at least one time and repeat it as long as the condition is true. All right, and the structure of do while is we start with do and we'll put the curly braces, as you guys can see, code block. All right, and then right below it, we'll just put while. It looks weird, right? I mean, you would say that, okay, while this condition and then do this one, you would assume that this should come right after while loop, but that's the structure right here, right? So we have a do first, and we have curly braces, the code block, and we have a condition right here. Okay, and we use do while when we want to run a code block at least one time. Right, let's say right here, console.log I and I++. Of course, initially we need to set the I. Let's just start from 0. Okay, let's just start from 0 and same condition. Let's say 20. What happens here is that we do the do first. Okay, initially, we're not checking the while. We do the do first. We print out console.log I, and then we increase it. And as soon as we increase it, we compare it. Is I less than 20? Yes. And then run this do block again. We do increase and then we compare it again until we hit what? 20. Okay. As soon as we increase it 20 is we say while 20 is less than 20. No, then we stop and we'll continue to the next line of codes.
Sorry, Azamat. I really didn't say the differences was very similar.
So let me put like right here. Is I less than 0? Which is what? False, right? Is it false?
Yes.
Okay. In our regular while loop, without the do. Okay, in our regular while loop, let's write our while loop right here. You know what? Control C, and we say while I is less than 5. We're saying console.log I, right? And then we're saying I plus plus. This is our regular while loop. And then if I say I is less than 0, am I going to print out 0 now?
I think so. No.
Am I going to print out 0 or any of them? Is 0 is less than 0?
No, it's false.
False, right? That's why we're not increasing, we're not running any of the code blocks, and we'll just go to the next line. We're not printing out anything. Okay. Similar condition, this is regular while, and with the do while, we run the code block at least one time. Right? Whether it's I is less than 0, we still console log only one time. See? We're console logging 1, 0. So do while is used when we want to run a code block at least one time.
Yeah, I got it. It's clear because I'm just thinking how to use it.
So I have never used do while, and I have never seen a code this type of logic being used in any of my projects that I worked. All right. Most of the time we use for loops, for in, for off, and these higher order functions and a while loop. But you guys would rarely see this do while being used in codes. But just to keep in mind, okay? If a condition doesn't meet, we still run do code block one time, okay? Let I 0, okay, console.log I 0, and increment I, which becomes 1, and then we compare it over here. Is 1 less than 10? Then keep continuing printing it out. But we run this code block at least one time. Compared to while, we just wait for the compare the condition, and then run the code block. Okay, for each let me mention it. You know what? I don't want to mention this one for you guys because we need to see the arrays. And then this is just like I said, it's completely separate topic that requires 1 day of class, and it will be more beneficial if we mention it when the time comes. Okay, but this is one of the loops, and we apply this loop to the arrays. Okay, let's say we have array right here. Where's our array? Right here, constant array. Okay, and we usually do array dot for each. And we have a function over here. Okay, but we will not do that. Let's take a look into for in. I think it's a perfect time to start talking about the arrays, because we use for in and for off most of the time for arrays. And of course, for the strings too. But let's talk about arrays. What is array? What is array? Let's say we have a thing called, let's say I have multiple users. right? Let user 1, John, etc., etc. Oh, don't do that. Okay, and then instead of writing, let's say you have 1,000 users, writing it down every single one of them like this, it's not efficient and it looks ugly. Okay, it's like a redundant code, right? There's better solution in JavaScript is to combine these users into one single variable, and to be able to do that, we need arrays. Okay, so now we can just create constant users. Are you going to generate this for me? Yep. Come on. Okay, here we go. All right, just like this. We can combine the set of other data types into one variable, and then working over this array. All right, so now if I would like to apply some sort of a string manipulation or some data change for each strings, I can definitely do that with some built-in methods for arrays. So now let's say let's print it out each name in console log. We can definitely do that with what? For loop. So for let I 0, and keep in mind our arrays start with index 0. Okay, index 0 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we have 7 items or 7 elements. Items or elements. Usually we call elements or items. Okay, we have 7. The length of the array is 7, but since the arrays start from 0, the last index for the last item is 6, which is 1 less than the length of array, right? So let's see console.log users.length will give us the length of the array, which is 7. Okay, how can we reach to each element inside our array? Based on their indexes, right? So there's another way to see, like if I console.log this one right here, console.log users, we see the users over here, right? There's another way to see with the indexes. What we can do instead of console.log, we can just say console.table. Okay, console.table will show us corresponding indexes and corresponding values for those indexes. If I run it, this is how we see it. Okay, index starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then corresponding values inside our array. Okay, so how do I reach to the items individually? Individually, we can use, in this case, I would like to use this console log instead of a console log table. Users with the help of indexes. Okay, so in this case, we are using this bracket. It's not curly. This is curly braces. This is bracket. With the help of the bracket, and this has to be numbered indices. Keep in mind, this is a numbered indices compared to string indices in objects, but we'll come to that point. So in order to reach each item, For instance, I'm trying to reach to the item, to the value in index 0, and this is how we directly reach to that item. And now it's printing out John. It will print out the value. Okay? Index 1, index 2, etc. John, Alex, Rob. This is how we reach out to the values of our array. Now let's how can we reach out to the last value of our array?
Using the index 6.
Yes, index 6. That's correct. All right, index 6. But let's say you have thousands of items inside your array. In order to reach
Maybe a length -1.
exactly, that's what we can use. So so what I was trying to say is that 6 is last index, right? But our length of our array is 7. So basically 7 minus 1 would be last index. Okay, so how do I get the 7? The 7 is usually users that length, and -1 would be our last index. So I can just copy this one right here and paste it over here. Users that length -1, which will become what? 6. And it will print out last user. Max.
Azamat, the -1, it's not the index. It's just number of the element of the item.
No, we're trying to grab the last index, right? So the length is 7. But since we start our indexes from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last index is 6.
Yes.
All right, so we're trying to get number 6. So what we can do here, users that length is 7 and -1. And this is, for this example, it will become 6. And as we were reaching out to the indexes like this, instead of putting 6, we don't know what's the length of 1,000 or 100 million, right? So for that, we can just grab the length, and just -1 would give us the last index. And if you would like to grab this one right here, you can do -2, of course, to be able to grab the Bob.
Yeah, I got it. I mean, can we use it without the user length? Just -1 is it index right now?
You mean like this?
Yeah. Is it index?
Yeah, but it will complain. It will complain that it's undefined.
Okay.
And what we can use here, instead of this users -1, we can use at. Users that at means at index -1.
This index right now. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep, at index -1 will give us from the reverse order. Of course, definitely you can use for other indexes.
So the very first item in our array is always index 1 or index 0?
Index 0, yes. We always start in our array, always starts from 0 right here.
Okay.
It does not start from 1. It always starts from 0.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, question about adds -1. So is it method works like this? When we put -1, it gives us like the last element. So which means if we put -2, it will like give us Bob?
If you put -2,
Yeah.
like this,
Yep.
That's a good question. So usually, yes. So we start from 0, right, on this side. But when we start from the right side to going to the left side, -1, -2, -3, like that. Okay, now we have, that's -2. So users at index -2, starting from right side. If you go from the left side, it's positive numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc., right? If you go from the right side to the left side, -1, -2. Since we don't have -0, right? So it starts with the -1. Arrays. Array is a single variable that used to store different elements. It is often used when we want to store a list of elements and access them by a single variable. And it says you can put different types of data into an array. For now, we only put what? As strings. But in reality, we can put, for instance, constant array is equal to, we can put any data type. Let's say 1 for number, true for Boolean, Alex for a string. Even if you can type undefined or just null, okay? Or you can definitely put object. Object, for instance, name, John, etc. Or you can also put a function. You can also put a function over here. Okay, but we don't put the function like this. We have to put a name for that. In order to do that, we can create a function outside over here. Array function. Okay, and then put that function name right over here. Array function.
Here, array function will be as a what type of data?
It's a function.
That function.
Hello, for instance. Okay, so it's a function. So you guys know that we invoke the functions with what? Parentheses. We invoke the functions with parentheses. So in this case, how do I invoke this function right here? Same thing. First, I reach out with array, and then I can also say what? That at -1. Okay, right now, this one represents what? A function. If I say console.log array at -1, now it says function. So this is basically a function. So now what can I do? I can invoke this function. Basically put another parenthesis like this. As if I'm invoking this like this. Array function. Okay? When we create function, we invoke it like this, but this is, we are trying to reach out as like this. Okay? Basically, array at -1 is what? Array function, and we invoke the function, and now it should console log hello. We can store any type of data type, any data type inside our array. We can put different types of data into an array. Array length property tells you how many things are in an array. How many properties, or how many items or elements inside an array? We will figure that out with fruits.length, or basically array.length. Okay, so using arrays, we can access items with bracket notation, which we did already, right? By using the position of the item we want. So JavaScript arrays are 0 indexed, meaning that it starts from index 0. 0, 1, 2. All right, so how can we change the items or elements inside an array? So let's see. I would like to change this 1 to 200, for instance. What I can do here, array 0, and I can reassign a new value to that item. In this case, let's assign 200, right? And then we can just console log this array. Okay, so our array is initially 1, true, etc. But now, let me just comment this one out. I change it the value for the item in index 0 from 100 to 200, and now my array has new value. Okay, 200.
We can change it only when they have like when they are same data type.
Oh no, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So let's just change this one to false, for instance. Oops. False. You can change it to any data type, right? But it depends on what you are trying to do in your code block. This is how we change. So in this case, we're changing apple to banana, and that's our result. Expanding arrays. So we have a limited number of items right now, right? So the length is, I don't know what it is. It's 7 items inside our array. We can expand, we can put more stuff over here. All right, to do that, we can use some array built-in functions. All right, so in here, right after creation, I want to push, in order to add new item, starting from end, okay, starting from end. For instance, I would like to add a string called John. Starting from end, we can do array that push. And then whatever you would like to push, you can put it right over here. And for instance, I would like to push a new item, a string, at the end of array. All right, so let's run this one. And now, as you guys can see, I have John.
And how to put it in the middle? Is it possible?
In the middle? No, it's hard to put it in the middle. But we can definitely do that with a splice, the different methods. Okay, those methods we will see a little bit later. But for now, we have push. We can use push to add something to an array, but of course at the end. Okay, it's gonna be at the end of the array. List of useful array methods. There's copy link address. There's hundreds of built-in array methods in JavaScript. I shared in a Zoom chat. Please take a look. Right, so array methods right over here. Right, so the popular ones that we are going to be using is index of, all right, for each. I was mentioning for each. Okay, find last, find index, for instance, and find filter every at. We used at already to find out the item in that index, slice, or sum, sort. These will be mentioned in when we do higher order functions in JavaScript. Okay, for instance, splice. Cool. So the splice, it says to create a new array with the segment removed and or replaced without mutating the original array. So it says constant months. Cool. As you guys can see right here, we have January, we skipped the February right here, but March, April, June, etc., right? So we'd like to put February in a specific index, or we can put, for instance, let's say this one was July, and you would like to put June, for instance, right here. Let's copy this one right here. So we can push some items at the end, or we can remove the items from the end. All right. So instead of pushing now, let's just pop. In order to remove this function over here, the last item, we can pop. And we don't have anything inside the parentheses. It's just pop. What it does is that it removes the last item in an array. It starts from the right side. It will pop from the last item. It's not going to be popping from this side. Okay. We need to pop. It always removes the last item inside an array. We need to push. It will always push a new item after the last item. After the last item inside the current array. All right, let's see the pop. And let's see if the function has been removed. As you guys can see, we don't have the function anymore. If you pop it again, one more time or 3 more times, it will remove one at a time. All right, so we are removing this function, and in the next pop, we are removing this object, and in the next pop, we're removing this null, and in the remaining, we have only these items inside our array. How do we add items to the beginning? We can add items to the beginning with the help of unshift. So we have push to end items from the last, and we have unshift to add items from left, from the first index. Okay, so in this case, if I would like to put a John to the beginning of right in front of 1, then unshift is our friend. Okay, so now John is right in front of 1. Okay, we saw the unshift. So how about removing the first item? How about removing? So just like pop, we were removing the last item. Now, with the help of shift, we remove the first item. In this case, array.shift, and we don't have anything, right? Just like pop, we don't have anything. We're not going to be putting in a number. Array.shift, it will remove the first item. Let me clear the console. I'm console table. Okay, so this one is a table. Okay, so if I run it, see, my number 1 is gone. Initially, I had number 1. Now we did a shift. That's why it just removes the 1 and shifts the remaining of items of array to the left. And now the index for true is 0. Initially, index of 1 was 0. Now true was 1. So now we're shifting those items. We're removing 1 and shifting those items to the left. And now our indexes are rearranged, and our length of the array is changed. Now we were looking into this guy right here. Let's say this is July. Okay. All right, so let's just bring it back. June, and we'd like to put February over here. What we can do here, we can do months, that splice. All right, splice. We have three options. We have three, it accepts three options. Okay, splice accepts three options. The first one is starting from which index? If I say 1, it will start from March over here, right? Right? And then the second option, how many items you would like to remove? If you put a 0, do not remove anything. Don't remove this March. Just squeeze in right in here. And the last option is what you would like to add. For instance, I would like to add Feb. Okay, if I put 1, remove March, remove one item, the next item, and put this February. But if I put 0, do not remove any items, just squeeze in right in the middle. Months. Okay, January, February, March, April, June. Now, if I put 1, it will remove one item. And in this case, it's going to be January, February, April, and June. All right. If you put 2, it will remove 2 items. It will remove March and April. And the output will be January, February, June.
Oh, what if 3? Because you don't have even 3.
Oh yeah, it will remove all 3 right here.
Up from the left to right.
Yeah, it will remove starting point 1, right? We're starting 0, 1. We're starting from March. And then the 3 is remove 3 items, including whatever is in that starting index, including the item in that starting index. So in as an output, it's going to be what? January and February. That's it.
I'm sorry, I missed it about the first number. Number 1.
Number 1 is starting point, starting index.
Okay, got
Starting
it. Thank
index 0,
you.
1. I would like to start from March. And if I put 0, do not remove any items starting from that index. Okay, starting from that 1, index 1, do not remove any items. Just squeeze in right here, whatever comes right after that. Okay, squeeze in right there. And then we see January, February, March, April, June.
Excuse me, Azamat. Is it going to be any errors if we delete more than item which we have, for example, not 3, 4, 5, or
That's
it will not be?
and test it out. Okay, if you do 5, it will definitely remove. Well, okay, so no, it's good. It will definitely remove. It's not going to be error. It will just remove whatever is left, and then it will leave January and February. Okay, it doesn't matter how many I mean the number you put over here. If it exceeds the number of items, the remaining number of items, which means that it will just remove the whole thing. But if it's below the length of numbers, the length of items left from starting from that index, then it will remove that amount of items and squeeze in this item, and the remaining will be January, February, and June.
And so first number, it should be index based, right? Not the number based.
Yes, let's start from 0. Okay, starting from 0 right here, right? And if I put 0 over here, do not remove this, do not remove any items. but just right before it squeeze in, just put February right here. Okay, it will squeeze in to the beginning of whatever the item we're starting. All right, we're starting from 0 now. What would be output? February, January, March, April. February, January, March, April, June. Okay, so let's say this one is 0, 1, 2, 3. Starting from 3. Okay, do not remove this June. Just squeeze in right here, February. So it's going to be January, March, April, February, June. That's how the splice works. Starting index, number of items to remove, and the item that you would like to squeeze in. This is basically just pushing the item specifically to that index. Right? Someone was asking, how can we insert item right in the middle or in a specific index that we would like to place it? That's the answer right here. All right. So the splice method of array instances changes the content of an array by removing or replacing existing elements and or adding new elements in place. Finding the length of array. Okay, let's develop this. Create an array of your favorite foods. Print a few values onto your screen. Oops. Did we? Okay, here we go. What does that say? Create an array of your favorite foods and print a few values onto your screen. All right, so this is how we, in here, instead of creating a favorite foods, we'll just go with the item right over here. Okay, month. We'll try to print out the month. February, we'll just add over here. March, April, June. We'll try to print out console log. And the thing about this is that we need to loop through it, right? Arrays plus loops are best friends forever. Loops work best with arrays all the time. Okay, and we can use for loop over here. Same thing initially, let I starting from 0, and I, as you guys remember, before we were putting what? 5, hard-coded number. But now, instead of hard-coded number, we would like to put what? The length. The length of months array. Okay, so in here, we'll just put month array, months.length, which will give what? 5. Or if you have hundreds of items inside month, I mean, you're not going to have hundreds, right? It's just a month, 12 month. Like if you have 12, then it's going to be what? 12. And now we'll just print it out, console.log. If I put I, what am I printing here? If I put I, what am I printing?
Index.
Indexes. If I put I, I'm just printing indexes. But I would like to reach out to the values. As you guys remember from reaching out to the values, we were using brackets. All right. So initially it's a 0. So now if I say console.log months, okay, and bracket and I. Bracket I. So initially it's 0. I is 0. Okay. And then in the next turn, I becomes 1. In the next turn, I becomes 2, etc. Okay. But every time we are increasing these indexes, we're printing out the values of this month array. If I print it out, we are printing out the items inside our array. This type of bracket reaching out also works for strings. Let's say constant topic, and we have JavaScript over here. Okay, and if I say console.log topic.length, what am I getting? The length of the characters for this string. Okay, I will get the length of characters for that string. Of course, I need to turn it on. Right? In this case, we have 10 characters. And just like the arrays, every single character starts from 0. Right? This is in the index 0, we have J, index 1, A, etc. Right? If I say topic 0, what am I going to print out now? J. Similarly, instead of months over here, I can put topic. Okay, I can put topic, and the length will be 10 and I 0. And right over here, we can say topic. All right, these are some of the built-in methods that works for arrays and objects. In this case, we'll just print out every single letter from that word. Any questions?
No.
Cool. So, iterating through arrays. Use a for loop to easily work with each item in an array. This is the first way of using for loop. Now, we have another way of using for loop, which is for, let's bring this for off first. Okay, and I would like to bring my thing over here and right over here. Now, we have three statements over here, right? Statement 1, statement 2, and statement 3. With the for off, we're going to have a single statement. Okay, and in this case, we'll say let item of month. This item is being the value for each item. All right, the value for each item. In this case, if I say console.log item, it will print out every single item, the names, the values of every single item. Topic is not defined. Where did I put topic? Oh, okay, over here. Just need to bring my topic, that's it. Okay, in this case, I'm just printing out So instead of for let I 0 and then months I like this, let me bring it over here. I'm going to be using that months over here. Okay, this is the first way of printing out. That's the exact same thing, right? Oh, it's because this one is months.length. Okay, and the second option is, I mean, this one out is this one. So if I put let item of months, it will print out every single item. Okay, and similarly, we can use for in for arrays. Okay, right after that we'll see objects. Okay, so we have for let item of months. When we use for let in instead of, okay, let index in months. Every time you guys see in is for index. If it is an array, and if you see in instead of item right here, right? If you put item, this item becomes an index. But when we say let item of months, this item becomes the actual values of the item. Okay, that's why I named this index. So let index in for index for arrays. In represents different thing for objects, but we'll see that. Okay, so for let index in months, and if I say constant.log index, let me remove this item, run it. Oh, I made a mistake. Constant.log index, run it. Now it's printing out indexes 0 to 4. But if you put let item of months for arrays, it will print out the actual values of those items.
Azamat, do you use the for of and for in your projects?
Yes, for of, yes, for of oftentimes. So there's few examples that if you need index, then you will use let I in I0, I month, length, etc. This one right here. But if you don't use index and you just need the values of the items, then you can go with for let item of months. All right. So with this one right here, okay. How do I find out? How do I find out the index of how do I use index over here inside over here?
Add.
Yeah, but how do I dynamically? If you do item dot add, what do you want to do? Like, do we have 100? We
No.
want this number dynamically, but you cannot put like what you cannot put I because we don't have I, right? Just like this one right here. Okay, we cannot use index over here. So if you don't use index, we can just use that item of months. One other useful thing that you guys will be seeing a lot of times is index of right here. Index of. To be able to use that right here, index of, well, it basically means we can just say Let me just put it right here. Console.log months not includes index of, and we need to put the item name. For instance, April. Okay, console.log months index of April, and what it does is basically goes through the items inside the array and finds the April, and it will print out the index. What is the index of April? Who can tell me?
3.
0, 1, 2, 3. Exactly. Basically, this one is same thing. Okay. 0, 1, 2, 3. And now it will print out 3. All right. So please go through these. For instance, we saw the unshift. Okay. We saw the splice. We also have a slice. All right. Slice is generating a new array out of existing array. Let's go back over here. We have months, right? We have months over here. If I say months.slice, right? Let me just console log the whole thing. Okay, months.slice means specific, for instance, specific items from here. I would like to create a new array that contains February, March, or I would like to create a new array that contains March, April, June. Like specific portion of items to take it out, right? And create a new array. We can do with the help of slice, right? In this case, we would like to grab these items. So it accepts two arguments. We can say arguments, right? And this one is start index, and this one is end index. You need to put the start index and end index. Where you would like to start? I would like to start from what? March 0, 1, 2. Start from 2 and go all the way down to 4. Now, slice, the starting index is inclusive. The starting index is inclusive. So basically, it will include this March. 0, 1, 2. It will include this March. But ending index is exclusive. It will not include the, if I put 4, it will not include the item in number 4. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The starting index is inclusive. Start from 2, including 2, but number 4 do not include item in number 4. Basically, it will grab until that ending index. March, April. If you like to include June 2, now you have to put number 5. All right. There is another way to show what we are doing here. We're starting from here until the end of array, right? So basically, we're telling that there's another way. This is the first way. And the another way is just put starting index. If you put only one number inside slice, it will grab from that index inclusive until the end of whatever the how many items that array contains. If it has 100 items inside the array, it will grab start from index 2, and it will grab all the way other 98 items.
Azamat, in the console, we can see what items you grabbed or what left after. What you grabbed, right?
Yeah, so the starting point, what do we grab? The console log is showing the new array that we are slicing out of existing array. What we are doing over here, constant result or new array 1 is equal to months, and then we're just printing out new array 1. Same thing for, in this case, let's just do this one, new array 2 and only 2. And now over here, new array 2. Now the result is same because we're starting from 2 and ending until the last item in the array. And we're starting from 2. If you don't put the ending index, it will grab everything remaining until the end of the array. That's how we slice it out. If you would like to slice only January and February, what we can do, starting from 0 index, inclusive, ending until 2, not 1, ending until 2. Starting from 0 index, ending until 2, that's the ending index. Ending index is exclusive. And new array 3. January and February. Oh yeah, let's take a break, guys. 5 minutes break and we'll continue. Sorry about that. All right, let's jump onto objects. All right, so I'll try to explain this for in as soon as we explain the objects. So in real life, everything that we see, if anything that we see has properties, okay? For instance, a car. Car is an object. Why? Because it has color, it has a model name, it has actual name, okay? Look at this, it's just generating an object for us, okay? Car. And for instance, constant, a person. Person is an object because the person has a first name, last name, the age, the address, their phone numbers, etc. All right. So this is how we can generate objects. Unlike the arrays, we cannot use regular for loop for objects. We cannot use regular for loop for objects. There's a couple different ways we can use, we can iterate objects. Okay, so the objects, let me check if I have over here. No, we did it already. Objects. Objects, they let us store a collection of properties. Right? So in here, we created a car and we put the make and model, year, color, price, etc. This part right here, the left part is property name, right? At the same time, they're called key. Property name and value on the left side, or key and value, right? Property name value or key and value. These property name and key are used interchangeably. If someone says key value, that's going to be for objects. Unlike the arrays, since you guys remember the arrays, right? for instance, this one right here, when we did console.table, right? Console.table has already been declared. Okay, so we just comment this one out, and we're going to be using this one right here. Sorry about that. Console.table months. Let me clear the console, run it, and now we have index and values, right? That's why for arrays, indexes are numbered indexes. How about the objects? Objects are quite the opposite. Console.table, and let's print out person. Okay, so run. In this case, all right, let me just remove the address over here for now. Right, so months is showing indexes. For objects, the indexes are named indexes. These are strings. These are strings. Okay, and these are values. For arrays, we were reaching out to items by indexes, right? But how do we reach out to the property and values in objects? We use dot with the dot notation. As you guys can see, person.age will show us 30. Person.age will show us 30. Person.name, sorry, person.name will show us the value, John. Okay, John. This is how we reach out to the values inside our object. There's another way. The second option would be using bracket. Now, in arrays, we were using numbers, right? But in objects, we use strings. Now, string age. Don't put age like this. It will say that this will accept this as variable, new variable. We don't do that. All right, since we don't have variable, it will complain that age is not defined. So for that, we'll just use string. This is called named indexes or string indexes, okay? Right here, numbered indexes. But for objects, we have named indexes based on property names. That's how we reach out to, for instance, if I say age, and let me remove these console logs over here. Let me clear the option. Now I have 30 and 30. We do it for the name. 30, John.
Azamat, so we have here property inside of property. How's it called? The zip code, for example. How to reach zip code?
That's a good question. So same thing. So if you would like to reach out to zip, what we can do here, instead of well, I think we have been doing console.table, which is not going to work, but console.log, yeah. So person, instead of that, so person.address first, we reach out to the address first, and that is object 2, and now we reach out to zip, and that's the property name, and we do the same thing, dot zip. Right, with the dot notation, we reach out to the child object, and then inside the child object, we're reaching out to the value, the zip value. Right, the property name zip, and then we're grabbing the value. That's how we do it. This type of representation for this one will be the same. In this case, you just convert this guy to bracket. Oops, Command Z, bracket first, close it out, grab this one, and bracket next, close it out. Okay, instead of a dot, we are using bracket, and we are using these hard-coded names as address.
And which one do you use?
What about, yeah, what? So this one right here, we use when we are using for loop to be able to reach out to the items or the property names dynamically. Okay, but if you like to reach out to a specific item or a key value, then we can use dot notation. Right? What about if I don't have for the person, right? What about if I don't have, for instance, school? What's gonna happen now? I don't have school over here. So what's my value? The value is undefined. Okay, and if you try to say trying to reach to the key value or property name of the child that doesn't exist, for instance, school.name, JavaScript will complain that cannot read properties of undefined, reading name. Since this one is undefined, since we cannot reach to undefined dot name, we cannot do that. See, this school has to be exist, right? And then a name, we can reach out to the name. But since school does not exist, you cannot do undefined dot something. You cannot do that because undefined is not an object.
Sorry, yeah, this question from the first class. What difference between undefined and null? I thought the undefined one we have this object, but we can't find it. But null when this thing it's even not не существует.
Yes,
Here we don't even have a I forgot what you address. We don't even have address, but here's undefined.
right. Yep. So here's the thing. For the objects, if it doesn't exist, right? We set the school. If it doesn't exist, then it will the result will be undefined. But however, in JavaScript, for instance, if I say console.log address, right? What's gonna happen now? I don't have a variable named address, and it's gonna complain address is not defined, right? Address is not defined. So undefined is different than is not defined. Address is not defined. That's the reference error. However, if I say constant address like this, right? Constant address like this. So address is undefined. Whether you put is equal to undefined or not, if you don't put anything, the value will be undefined. Okay, so now if I run it again, okay, so constant address. Oh, the constant. So for the constant cannot be. So sorry, let. Okay, let. When you create a variable with const, you definitely need to have a value. Otherwise, it's not. It doesn't accept undefined as an initial value. Okay, so let me clear it out. So now my address is undefined. Undefined is different than is not defined. Is not defined means you did not define a variable like this. But undefined means you didn't put a value. You didn't assign a value to address. This is exactly the same as assigning undefined itself like this. Okay, so now null. When it comes to the null, if you don't assign anything, it's not gonna be null. You have to assign null as an initial value so that you can use null later on. Null has to be assigned as an initial value, unlike undefined. Okay, if you don't assign anything, JavaScript will accept as the value is undefined. But in order to make a variable null, you have to specifically set the value as null. And now the value is null. And what is the type of null?
Object.
Object, right?
Got
That's
it.
a huge mistake, and they refrain it or refrain it themselves to change it to null to null, because if they change null to null, every single project or every single code that was generated up until now will break. Okay, so for that, it's just they kept it as it is. All right, so when it comes to for in, we create these objects like this. And how can we loop through the keys with our for loop with the help of for in? The same thing as we used for let off, right? We can just do let key in person. For the naming, it doesn't matter, guys. If you put item in person, right? This item becomes what? A key. That's why it makes sense to use key, because for the objects, when you do key in person, this is object, and key becomes a key, a property name. You can also name it a prop name, property name. And that is what? All of these names right here, name, age, address. Console.log, prop name. It will print out all. Now the console.log address is null, okay? It will print out all the property names of object. All right, but if the person is an array, it makes sense to put what? Index, because we are using in. All right, so how do I get, so I got these the property names. How do I reach out to the values? How do I reach out to the values now? How do I reach out to values over here, like a John, 30, etc.?
Using dot.
Yep. So we had two options to reach out to what? To the values of our objects, right? The first one is dot notation, and the second one is with named index, which is a string. So if right here, if I do prop name, sorry, person dot prop name, is it valid?
No, we have to write
Yes.
which one.
So we don't have this prop name is dynamic, right? For each name, this dynamic meaning this is changing in every single cycle. In the first time, the prop name becomes name. In the next cycle, the prop name becomes age, right? So we cannot hard code these. We cannot dynamically reach with the hard code with dot notation. It's going to complain undefined, because there's no such a property name. It's undefined. What we can do here is dynamically we can put now prop name. Oops, prop name. Now, as you guys realized, I didn't put string. Okay, I didn't put string. If I put this one again, it's gonna be undefined, right? Because I don't have prop name, the property prop name inside my person object. What I can do here, since this one is a variable, okay, and this one becomes like this. Now, in every single turn, right? In every single turn, it becomes like this. Name. In the next iteration, it becomes age, etc. But we have prop name dynamically. So now if I run the address, now we have John, right? 30, and then object, inner object. Right? So how do I print out with the same for loop? How do I print out these guys right here? All right, instead of let prop name in person, I can just put person dot address. Person dot address. Now I am trying to loop through this key values inside our address object, right? Person dot address is object, and now let prop name in person dot address. Now as a result, I will print out New York, NY, and the zip code.
I think you need to add that address on the.
Right. Yep. Thank you so much for that. It's instead of a person prop name, we need to do person address prop name. So what's the where's my shell? Let array is equal to array is 1, 2, 3. What's the type of array? The type of array is object. Okay, so let me have an object. Okay, name Alex, and object is name. So what's the type of object? It's also object. Okay, but how do I recognize whether it's an array or it's an object? There's two solutions. We have two solutions for that. Okay, so one option will be we have a new method called based on the array prototype, array dot is array, and then we put the array name, array. Array dot is array object, which is true. Is it array? Is this array is array? Yes, it's true. Let b is equal to, it's a string. Okay, it's a string. Let me put is b. Array is array? Is b is array? No, it's false. How about object? Array is array, object, it's false. It's not an object. Oh, sorry, it's not an array. This is how we recognize, this is how we distinguish between the type of object and the type of array. The second option, right? This one is the first one. Okay. The second type is instance of, right? Array, instance of array. Array, instance of array. And you guys can definitely put if statement. If array instance of array, then what? Let's say console.log, it is an array. It is an array. We can also use other prototypes like object instance of object. That's true. Okay, is object instance of array? That's false. Okay, with the help of instance of and with the help of this array is array, we can distinguish between those things. For instance, we also have functions. Object instance of function, now it's false. accessing objects, the dot notation, and we can assign it to a new variable, or using a bracket notation, like the arrays, okay? But in the arrays, we have numbered indexes, but for objects, we have named indexes based on the name of the keys or name of the property names. Here's the thing. Can we change, just like with the arrays, we were changing some items inside the array. We can do the same thing for objects. For instance, if I would like to change this name to, prop name. I would like to change this name to Alex, for instance. Right over here, I can come person that name is equal to Alex. And now person contains Alex instead of John. And now if I print it out, I will get what? Oh yeah, sorry, I need to remove this one. I will get Alex, and the remaining key property bias. So we have this one right here. We can also store functions inside our objects. But when you store functions inside our objects, it's called methods. Okay, when you store the functions inside an object, they are called methods. For instance, right here, I can say greet, and just like other data types, right? Name, column, we can say greet, and then we can just write the function name. Function, and console.log, hello world. Okay, hello world. Just like we reach out to specific properties with the dot notation, we can definitely reach out to the functions, which are called methods. And over here, we can just say person.greet. And since this is a function, we need to do what? Invoke it.
Cool.
Yep, call. This is how we call it. Since this is a function, once we call it in the console log, we should say hello world. Hello world. Another way to represent methods in an object is just write the name of the function directly. For instance, if I say multiply, okay, and I can write the name of the function directly instead of putting colon. Instead of putting a colon, I will just write it directly. Console.log, for instance, 100 multiplied by 3. Okay, as you guys can see, I don't have a colon. I just put the named function and without any function keyword. Okay, as you guys can see, this is a greet is a function and multiply is a function. And if I over here, I will just invoke this multiply and get the result, right? 300. You can either store methods inside like this or like this. We store them like this because sometimes we can use arrow functions, and you guys will see that later. I don't want to confuse you guys. Okay, instead of putting anonymous function, we can put arrow functions. Let's check it out. Changing objects, we did that, right? User.hair, we're changing hair from auburn to blue. and adding a new properties. Oh, yes, adding a new properties. Adding a new properties. So we put the properties like functions like this. We can put these functions, right? We can also put these functions instead of like not hard-coded, like this. Okay, person that greet, and put the function name. Person that greet or multiply, and function name. Sorry, instead of multiply, of course, it has to be function. Okay, person that greet, function, console.log, hello world. Person that multiply, function, same thing. And if I would like to invoke them, I will do person greet or person that multiply. Oops. Show it to me. We would get, let me clear it out. We will get the same result. All right, hello world from person that greet, and we edit as a new item. As a new key value, we edit to the person object. Any questions?
Azamat,
Yes.
yeah, Azamat, I have a question. So yeah, in this case, when we are adding the new so key value, is it so is it matter that where it's gonna be ended up saving in the beginning, in the middle, or it's gonna be just so descending or kind of order?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
The placement of the new values or key values, it doesn't matter where they place it.
Okay.
All right.
And yeah, one more question. So when we are adding the function in the array, not in the object, can we invoke function with an array or no?
We did it, right? We did it over here. Look, we created a function, and then we said, in order to invoke a function like this, what we were saying is that array at -1, which is the last, and we were just invoking that function. Because we don't have the function, that's array function. Okay, array function.
Okay. But when we are just printing out, it's gonna return not the value, just as a function, right?
Oh, when you just print it out? Oh yeah,
So, yeah, when we are just printing out, it's not going to return, right? The value.
No, because we are not invoking it over here. Okay, we're not
Okay,
invoking
yeah.
this function like this. We're not doing
Yeah.
it. We're
Okay.
just placing the function. Okay, it says function.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Two more things. So we do have key values over here, right? We can also generate an array of keys, like this. Like if you like to generate this one like this, name, age, of course, it's going to be in the string like this. We can do with the help of some built-in methods for objects. To do that, we have object that keys, all right, person. Prototype, that's prototype for, let me see, objects, methods. Properties, no. Okay, here we go. Object has object that keys, right? Object that keys will generate an array of keys only. Console.log object that keys person, and I put the object name, right? Basically, my array would be something like this. Let me clear it out first. Oh, that's too much console logs. Let me. Cool, I think that should be enough. If I run it, I think I'm still console logging somewhere. Oh, okay, over here. All right, so console.log object.keys person, as you guys can see, name, age, address. Of course, it's not grabbing the keys of the inner, the child objects. It's only grabbing in the first level. Okay, so the other thing is how about array of values? Array of values. This just like the name indicates, instead of keys, in this case, we'll just put values, right? JavaScript values over here. Object that values and object that keys. So for that, if I run it, now we have, these are the values. So it's 8:01. I think we're done with, let me check a new, yeah, one last thing, sorry guys. Deleting the key value properties from an object. It's very easy, right? Let's say we would like to delete this address. What we can do here, just come down here and say person, delete first. It looks weird, but this is how we delete it. Person dot address. Console.log person. Okay, person dot delete person dot address, and when we console log it, inside our console log, we have only name and age. Of course, we added some new items. That's what it said, but we don't have address anymore. This is how we delete a key value from an object. And this representation can be also done in bracket representation, right? Like this, right? If you don't use this one, then it's gonna be that one. Now address is gone. That's how we delete. Arrays of objects. Yeah, so we already did that one, right? So we had an array and we had some items, but at the same time we put objects. So when you join the company, guys, most of the time you guys will be dealing with array of objects. Okay, for instance, users array, and it will contain array and object. User, it belongs to user 1, and next object belongs to user 2, etc. Okay, now let me show you guys usually what kind of data we will be dealing with. Mock API, right? For instance, login. Interesting. React Students app. So students right here. As you guys can see, this is an array of objects, and every object contains user, the key value property related to the user, right? So first name, last name, age, phone number, avatar, etc. This is the data. This kind of data that we will be dealing from now on when we do the projects in DOM, in JavaScript, in React, etc. Okay, this type of, for instance, if I think I have books too, projects, for instance, furniture products and products. I have 12 items, and each item contains a lot of information. Okay, so we do have object, and inside the object we have key value properties. Okay, so basically ID and the inner object, child object, and inside the child object we have a lot of information. Books, 99 books, ISBN, language, publisher, etc. Objects, just like other data types, objects can be passed into functions. Yep. I will just leave it to you guys as a homework. Okay, please practice this. Let's develop a part. Also, check object methods. We saw the object methods already, right? It says talk and creating a function, and eat and creating a function. And this is how we invoke the methods. Call object methods, right? Objects can also hold functions, but actually they're called methods. And I'm sharing these. I'm sharing these. Okay, methods. In Zoom chat. Oh no, in Slack. Slack group chat. Cool. So please take a look into, if you have time, please take a look into a video recorded by Marat. And as a homework, please do these practice projects. All right. So you guys will have this one right here. This guy right here. And my top companies, my practice, my peers, and homework. All right, any questions related to today's topic?
Actually, I have like not question about the class, like the topics. So in general, я хотел бы выяснить. В общем, сегодняшний урок был похож на спринт. Очень много информации, мы переходили от одного к другому, и каждому привозили примеры и объяснения. Но вне зависимости от этого было очень много тем. И чтобы их раскрыть, вы брали еще дополнительную информацию из интернета. В общем, для меня это был очень большой, очень сильно большой топик. Настолько, что я не помню уже ничего. Я посмотрю уроки потом. Но я хотел бы узнать, как у другим ребятам был урок. Не слишком ли было тяжело им, как мне. Потому что если в дальнейшем каждый урок будет настолько объемным, то мне нужно просто подготовиться заранее. У меня сейчас. Я бы хотел узнать, как у других ребят сейчас. Все ли они усвоили, или им тоже было немножко запомнить все трудно.
Yeah, the only thing I think you need to do your homeworks before the class. Just watch Marat's video and it's going to be much easier to understand in the class. But otherwise, yeah, it sounds like it's drinking the water from the big horse. But yeah, otherwise, yeah. So yeah, for me everything was clear, and And so yeah, I had only one question to clarify, Azamat, about the slice method. When we are using the slice method, is it going to remove all the slide items from the array or not?
No, it will create new array.
Oh, it's not removing anything from
Slice
the
method-
current, but it's gonna create a new brand new variable array, right?
Exactly. So it will create a
Oh, okay.
brand new array. It will generate a brand new array. Constant animals. Just the animals that slice to, and constant.log animals, and constant.log new array 3. See, original array is still remaining as it is, but we're just grabbing a couple items from them and generating a new array.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
What about the splice? What do you guys think splice does? Splice does. Let's change this to splice. All right. So you don't have to put a new item in here. So if I say right before duck, I would like to put a goose. All right before duck. What do we said? 0, 1, 2, 3. Right? The starting point 3, index 3, and do not remove anything, and put goose. Okay, put goose. So in this case, what a splice does is that it doesn't generate a new array. Okay, it doesn't generate a new array. That's why we don't have to do this one. What it does is that it just manipulates the original array. It just changes the original array. That's why you guys need to be careful when you are using splice. It's not a good idea to change the original array that we are receiving. Right?
Guys, why it's not giving error? Like we are defining the array with constant value, but still it's changing its value when we use splice.
Right. It is changing the original array. But unlike the splice, unlike the slice, it's not generating a new array. Okay? So usually we like this. We don't create a new array and put it like this. We don't do that. We usually without generating a new array, we run this animal that's like this. We run this splice like this.
Yeah, my question was like we on line 279, we are defining the array with variable like const, right? Instead of let. Like constant. And we are changing it. By default, it should give error, right? Like we are changing the value of constant.
Here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. When we use const, we're assigning a new array, right? Okay. Let me do this. Constant array empty 1, 2, 3, for instance. And I'm not doing this one. I'm not trying to do it like animals is equal to. I'm not trying to assign a new array. I am just manipulating whatever the contents of the array. Okay, you see that? Assignment to constant variable is not permitted because we're creating the array with constant animals. What splice is doing is just manipulating the contents of the array. It is recommended to create objects and arrays with const. Unlike other primitive data types, if you create a primitive data type, then in order to manipulate it, you have to have let. If you do const, then assignment to const variable is not allowed. Right? So as I said, we are not reassigning in with the splice, we're not reassigning a new array. We're just manipulating the contents of the array.
Yeah, in this case, array is a reference type, not a primitive type as data type. And so arrays, for example, animal is not saving all the values, it's saving the reference to the address where the array starts. So and where the address starts of this array not changing, just changing values. Yeah, but address of the array is staying the same.
Yes, the address of the array is staying the same. We're just, with the splice, we're just manipulating the contents. But with the slice, we are creating a brand new array out of original array. And that new, with the slice, and that new array will be referencing to completely different place in the memory. Okay, in my opinion, I completely agree with Kai Ozario, that we learned a lot of stuff today, but don't expect to learn everything in the class. You guys need to practice this. Everything we learn is by practicing. Okay, I completely agree that it was overloaded with a lot of new topics and a lot of new stuff, right? I shared them a couple of links to check it out. But here's the thing. In order to learn these, everything that we saw this today, you guys need to go over these codes, and if you have time, just go over the video again, or if you prefer, go over the videos that Marat recorded a long time ago. It's up to you. Okay, but don't expect to learn everything in the class, during the class. Of course, it depends on the person, what kind of person you are. Some people learn when they study themselves. They literally read all the books, go all the notes, and they learn, and they keep whatever they learn in their minds. But some people learn during the class, just like me. I try to pay attention every single topic during the class, because I know that if I study myself, I wouldn't go farther. All right, so people started dropping off from the class. It's 8:17. Any questions? I can share this link with you guys. Not sure if you guys will have access to this one.
No questions. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. No questions. Have a
You're
good
welcome, guys. Thanks for joining the class. As always, please reach out if any questions. I'm not sure if anyone else is joining the class right now. Let me see. Is Mario is here? No.
No, we don't have additional time now.
Oh, they take it out. Okay.